What are the common mistakes that a lot of CEOs make?
If I had to mention only one, the most important one is definitely that they don't care enough about engagement. They don't educate their teams enough so that they don't feel engaged, and they don't engage, excuse me. And if they don't engage, you cannot keep them accountable. So,
So is that with staff engagement?
yes, exactly. That's definitely the one. And as the company grows, one mistake that I see very often is that, again, they stop being the leaders that they were in the beginning when the company started. So they, little by little, they kind of start building the ivory tower kind of thing, and they forget about, they're not so involved and engaged with the rest of the team. I would say that's definitely the number one, let's say, mistake or challenge they have as soon as they start growing, making sure that they give their teams the right education, so that they really feel that, oh my God, I feel empowered. I really understand that we can do this. Because at the end of the day, we do not have to forget. I mean, you have your own business, Thomas, so we don't have to forget that, or we shouldn't forget that we exist because we put an equity, and we want a high return on that equity. We invested in our business. We invest with our time, which is the most valuable thing that we have in our lives, our time. We invest that time and that money, and we want a return. That's why companies exist, to provide the owners, the shareholders, to provide them with a return, right? That's why we exist. And sometimes we forget that, but what if every single employee was fully aware of the financial implications of their business decisions, right? So that's extremely important. And that, actually, it's funny because, as you know, it wasn't the case in Europe, and it's not the case here in the US either. We are not educated, from kindergarten up to 12th grade or high school, we're senior high school. We're not educated on financial, acumen. We're not educated on financial literacy. So even if we have worked for large corporations and then we become entrepreneurs ourselves, we have never received the right level of financial literacy, which allows us to be fully mindful of the consequences of what we do.
It's kind of up to you, isn't it, if you want to learn about that stuff?
Exactly. But it's funny because we are still, both of us were entrepreneurs, right? We still made the decision of going out to the market, offer our services, and risk it. We risk it every day. We risk it every day. We go out there, we have our marketing, we have our podcast and exposure and everything, but still we risk it every single day. So if you take this into larger organizations, the reality is that there is a common elephant in the room, and that goes up to C-level as well, to the CEOs, which is not everybody has received the right level of financial literacy. I mean, I was reading the other day a great book that speaks about very basic business concepts, and only 46% of C-level of business operators really understand the basic financial principles of organizations. Only. So it means that there's this big elephant in the room. Excuse me, I just let me take that back. It's 46% of C-levels are able to understand the main financial principles of the organizations. So it's not that they don't understand it. It's just that they have not been trained to do it. They have not been educated to understand fully the financial implications of the business decisions that they make every single day. That's why that's definitely the number one challenge. It's the disengagement of the employees for a lack of, or due to a lack of education.
Well, coming back to your point of engagement, do you think that's a problem of incentives? So I think there's an issue with staff potentially speaking up where there's an element of risk there for them. Whereas if they don't speak up about let's say a problem or an issue, they're no worse off than they already are right there.
Yeah, you're talking about another of the challenges that companies have, which is managing expectations, right? all the time inside an organization, we are always managing expectations, or our bosses or our peers are managing expectations. And we don't talk about it. There's things that we don't talk about it. To what you just said, just explained, we don't talk about it, but we should talk about, we should be working on a company, in an organization that allows everybody to speak up about anything, anything. We should be able to speak about anything inside the corporation. One of them being incentives. Is incentives an important ingredient in the engagement equation? Absolutely, it is, but it's not the only one. And again, think about your career, right? Think about your career since you had your first job until you had your last job, or even if you have a job right now. Would you trade some of your paycheck for having a better job? A better boss, okay, or a better culture? Would you be willing to forfeit part of your check if you were going super excited every single day to your work, to the company that you're working with? And I would probably say yes 99% of the time.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's the case.
Exactly. Because, when you are excited, you love it. I just love to go to that place and meet with that person and work together with that thing, because it's, again, and that's something also that Tony Robbins says very much, which is the quality of our lives is the quality of our emotions, right? And again, unfortunately, we trade in those emotions for money. So is money a good incentive? Yes. And there's people maybe that are more incentivized by money than others, but still, what about culture? What about culture? What about if you were given all the education, again, going back to education, what if you were given all the education that you need inside the company, that you feel really empowered? You feel really empowered and you feel that you thrive in that organization. Is that going to impact positively engagement? I do feel so. I do feel so. So that's why I believe a lot on, very much on money is important. And again, for me also, money is a matter, is a form of energy, right? Which is good, obviously. And we have to pay our bills, and we want to buy our houses, our boats, our airplanes, whatever that is. But still, it's the every single day emotion that we go through and experience, human experience with our feelings and emotions, that really counts. And, when you go back home at night, when you explain, how was your day, right? If there's someone at home asking you how your day was, even if it is your dog, right? Your wonderful dog that's looking with his beautiful eyes to you, that he's asking you, I miss you, I miss you, sir, I miss you. How was your day? And you start talking to your dog, I'm sorry to put this comparison here, this metaphor, but I really believe that emotions and feelings make a big difference when you go back home and you reflect about the day that you just had.
No, it's the way you want to spend your life, right? So I totally agree with you.